In some countries, there was a mood of hope. In Britain, a newly elected socialist government promised dramatic changes. The planners had grand visions. One was for the war-torn city of Coventry.
Coventry's going to be a great new city, and there's going to be houses for everyone in it, and work.
Have you seen that new model of Coventry they're showing? I'm taking Betty there tomorrow.
Coventry was one of the first cities in Britain to have a complete plan for rebuilding. In this plan, the centre of the city, largely destroyed, is to be rebuilt entirely. The planners of Coventry believe that cities only exist for the use of people. They believe that everyone should feel that it's worth his while to make his city, or town or village, a good, decent, pleasant place to live in.
And that's the real point I want to make, Mr. Evans. This is the people's city, or anyhow it's going to be.
The politicians promised a world without slums or poverty. Be new homes, better health, and above all, everyone would be in work. Mass unemployment and enforced idleness would be a thing of the past.
This is a good model, Betty, isn't it? The city had better be good, too. It's where we're going to live.
Coventry is going to be a place to live in where people believe that human life can be good and pleasant. In the days to come, we must feel that it is not every man for himself, but every man for the good and happiness of all people living.
But the road to the promised land was beset with difficulty. Governments were bankrupt. People grew weary with waiting. "1947 saw the worst winter in years. Far from recovering, the people of Western Europe were staggering from crisis to crisis. Tempers were frayed. And politics were polarizing. Many in the West came to believe only communism could bring real change for working people. In Italy and France, support for the large communist parties was growing. And it was the fear of more communist takeovers that finally galvanized the United States into action. They launched a huge program to help Europe, the Marshall Plan.
The American people saw the necessity for cooperating with the non-communist countries in a comprehensive, bipartisan European recovery program, passed by Congress and here being signed by President Truman. This program, known also as the Marshall Plan, is designed to afford eligible nations that margin of help in credit and materials which they need to bring their overall economy back to health.
But there's no doubt whatever in my mind that if we decide to do this thing, we can do it successfully. And there's also no doubt in my mind that the whole world hangs in the balance as to what it is to be.
The Marshall Plan was a bold act of generosity and self-interest. The Americans who were sent over to run it believed their mission was straightforward, to make Western Europe strong and prosperous.
We Americans came to France with probably quite romantic ideas that we were going to bring this economic help and we would be welcomed with open arms and that economic development would happen and that the wounds of war would be bound up and so on. I don't mean to exaggerate it, but we all went there with really a considerable amount of idealism. We were subjected to a number of jolts of reality. I remember that the first day I went to my office in the Hotel Talleyrand, I had to fight my way through a line of screaming pickets. They were members of the Communist Party in France who were picketing the building because of their claim that the Marshall Plan was simply an American scheme to control Europe and to control France.
What Europe still needed before everything else was food.